Hello, this is the Aussie Arahan. What you are listening to is part of a series where I read from the book What the Buddha Taught by Walpola, Rahula and make some personal commentaries. The Buddhist attitude of mind. According to Rahula, the Buddha was the only religious founder who claimed to be nothing more than a human being. Quote, other teachers were either God or his incarnation in different forms or inspired by him. Unquote. The Buddha was different, however. He claimed no inspiration from God or an external power. Everything he achieved was a result of human effort. Rahula describes the Buddha as being so good at being a man and a human that the Buddha came to be regarded in popular religion as almost like a superhuman. Quote, man's position, according to Buddhism, is supreme. Man is his own master, and there is no higher being or power that sits in judgment over his destiny. Unquote. The statement that the Buddha was the only religious founder who rejected God and promoted self-reliance is false. Jainism, which also grew out of the Shramana traditions, also claimed no inspiration from God or an external power. The foundational texts of Taoism, the Tao Te Ching, and the Zhuangzi teach self-reliance, as does Confucianism, although the extent to which these are religions and to which divine or supernatural power plays a part is disputed. What is true is that the Buddha is the most well-known religious founder who taught self-reliance, taught that knowledge comes from investigating and understanding the world rather than revelation, and taught that human achievement comes from our own efforts rather than from divine intervention. Though early depictions portrayed the Buddha as an extraordinary human who achieved enlightenment through human effort, many Buddhist texts describe the Buddha as performing miracles which he attained through enlightenment. There is a huge list of these, which includes walking on water, duplicating himself, levitation, passing through solid objects, teleportation, telekinesis, diving in and out of solid earth like it was water, and touching the sun and moon with his fingers. But as far as I can tell, Rahula, as a Buddhist modernist trying to sell Buddhism to Western audiences, does not believe any of this. Rahula continues, quote, one is one's own refuge. Who else could be the refuge? Said the Buddha. He admonished his disciples to be a refuge to themselves and never to seek refuge in or help from anybody else. Unquote. The Buddha taught people to work on themselves and figure out their own emancipation, with the belief that man is capable of liberating himself from all bondage through his own effort and intelligence. The Buddha is not a saviour. While he discovered and showed us the path to liberation, nirvana, we must walk the path ourselves. The Buddha taught individual responsibility and offered freedom to his disciples. Quote, in the Mahaparinibbana Sutta, the Buddha says that he never thought of controlling the Sangha, order of monks, nor did he want the Sangha to depend on him. He said that there was no esoteric doctrine in his teaching, nothing hidden in the closed fist of the teacher, or to put it in other words, there was never anything up his sleeve. Unquote. In this, the Buddha rejects himself as a guru. He claims he is transparent in his teachings to dismantle any notion he has authority by stating to his followers, I have given you every tool I have. You don't need me to lead you. You only need the Dhamma. This is significant because in most religious or philosophical hierarchies of that era, power was maintained through asymmetric information. The teacher knows something the student doesn't, which creates a power imbalance. By opening his hand and being transparent, the Buddha positions himself as an equal with his Sangha. He also shifts the focus from personality to methodology. With gurus, the student is a follower of a person and the person is the source of truth. If the focus is on the Dhamma, the student is the practitioner of a system and the system is the source of truth. The system works regardless of what anybody has to say about it. Rahula claims this freedom of thought is unheard of elsewhere in the history of religions. He states that, quote, "This freedom is necessary because according to the Buddha, man's emancipation depends on his own realization of truth." Quote, "And man's emancipation does not come from God or an external power as a reward for good behaviour." So once again, as a Buddhist modernist, Rahula is really talking up Buddhism. Freedom of thought is not only present in the history of religions, it was also present in other branches of the Shramana traditions which Buddhism grew out of. The Shavakas in particular embraced philosophical skepticism. But I don't wish to be too critical here. Rahula is correct that Buddhism is the most significant religion of this kind. The Buddha's original teachings were atheistic and taught self-reliance and encouraged a relationship with the Dhamma free from the influence of God and gurus. As to the extent later Buddhists held to these ideas as Buddhism developed, we will see. The Buddha himself made many positive claims he held to be true, such as the Four Noble Truths, karma, and the Eightfold Path. Rather than presenting these as something to be taken on blind faith or authority, these teachings are presented as a methodology to be tested through personal experience.